This morning, we put the on-the-job training program in the spotlight. I have with me Director of the OJT Division, Joann David. She joins us on site. Good morning to you, Ms. David.
Good morning, Rokas.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, and thanks for having me this morning.
Not a problem. Well, let me say congratulations on the success of OJT. I've been seeing people reporting and articles coming out and all that sort of good stuff, but I want to go back a little bit. When you took up office, it would have been in 2019?
2019,
2019. Yes. You came in and I saw an article that said you had the public perception with you when you came in. As in, you came in and you said, all right, I know what OJT is, or you thought you knew what OJT was. Tell me about your experience since joining to now.
Yes, the public perception. You know that OJT is just, I guess, another government program. But I always had, and the article spoke to that, I always was an advocate because I understood what the intent was, notwithstanding what some of the realities was in terms of the issues. But the intent, I understood that because I did give a personal experience in the article where I spoke about my daughter before I came into the program.
Yeah.
And she went through OJT as a shy young lady and was able to, you know, hone in some communication skills, the ability to talk to people, you know, so that was good. But I think the public perception was that it was just another program of the government, another initiative that really wasn't meeting its mandate. So when I did come in 2019 and I saw what it was, I realized that that wasn't the real truth.
Right.
The systems was in place for success, but I guess like some other public entities, there are challenges, and therefore I think the main focus was the challenge, you know, not the impact.
Right.
And the amount of work that was being done to really support young people in Trinidad and Tobago. So
it's interesting how that works, eh?
Yeah.
I think we oftentimes tend to focus on all the negative things so they get more attention than, than the impact like you're talking about.
Yes.
But I do want to know if you were able to overcome some of the challenges that you would have encountered when you got there.
I was.
Tell me about some of those successes.
So let me first, because again, without going into the specifics and the details, I think some of the problems was a lot of environmental.
Right.
Because the magnitude of the program, in 2019 we were clocking 6,000 trainees, active trainees, and we had environmental issues that had to be solved. We had staffing issues that had to be solved. So again, the work is being done by the current staff, but you have these challenges that you needed. So basically, I embarked on trying to get some of the environmental challenges sorted out. And between 2019 and probably 2020, when we went into COVID.
Right, that happened.
Yes, so we were able to alleviate some of the environmental challenges, get staff a little more comfortable in terms of the environment. So I think that started from there. Then we went into COVID. Going into COVID, again, the staff with all of the anxieties and everything in terms of COVID, but it really showed what they were built with, the resilience. And then we were gazetted as, you know, coming into that situation where the government said the OJT program is an essential service. We were gazetted, and with all the anxieties, we had to be there.
Right.
We had to come out. We had to do what we had to do. And again, we endured, and we are here today, again, providing the service and increasing employability for young people when they come out of
I want us
school.
to just go into a little bit of detail for people who may not be aware. What is the purpose of the on-the-job training program?
Okay. In 2002, I think the purpose of the OJT program still is relevant today from 2002, because it really is about filling that gap between academic or skills development in terms of school and getting into the work environment. And I think the government saw the gap that you were certified but not qualified because they didn't have the experience that needed. Every job opening that you may see calls for some type of experience. 2 years or 3 years work experience. And Rokas, that is not just about the specific technical skills. It is about the soft skills too. The ability to navigate that workplace, the ability to deal with people, sometimes difficult people, and having the tools to be able to navigate that. So from the purpose of the OJTs really was to fill that school to work transition and to give them the practical experience after they qualify with the academics.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, it is still so relevant today.
It definitely is, and I think it will continue to be, because that's a gap that always going to need to be filled, because every year you have students graduating without the work experience necessary to enter the workforce. Have you seen a situation where after they finish doing the OJT program, they now have enough of that experience to be able to get the full-time job, as the case may be?
In a lot of instances, but again, that is a labor market issue in terms of job creation for all of them to transition. But we have had real good successes and good success stories about, trainees that transition into the workplace. We have had in the health sector, we have had in the construction sector, and therefore in a lot of instances, what employers have the opportunity to do is to work with trainees and to be able to create that employee that you're looking for. So you have 2 years to work with an OJT who has the academic qualification, and you are now able to work with them to be able to build those skills and competencies for your specific business
your company,
or your industry or sector. That is what you have for 2 years. And to really work from a perspective of building that, we give you an opportunity for corporate social responsibility to build the next labor force from engaging with OJT.
And is it only government businesses, or is it private sector?
No,
is it everybody?
It's everybody in the labor market. It's private sector, it's public sector. And we do support NGOs, CBOs, from that perspective in terms of providing, that support system, because it's twofold. The trainees get the opportunity to be in the labor market, get the work experience, and the employer get the support system that sometimes they need.
Now, a big challenge that I think a lot of people don't realize that OJT does, and I really wanted to highlight this when I saw it in the printout this morning, the different levels that people get paid in OJT based on their qualifications. So the academic qualifications.
Certification.
The certifications. All right, tell me more. Break it down for me. Let me understand.
The certification. So currently, is a work in progress right now, but currently we have 5 levels of stipend. And it starts with the CXC and craft areas. And that is level 1. Then if you come out with your diploma, that is a level 2, and certificates, because that is a higher level. Then we go to the associate degree level. Then we have the bachelor's degree, and then even with your master's, you can come through the OJT program. And, the stipend levels are accordingly.
All right. Now, some people will argue that the stipend levels may not be enough, but is it meant to be it's not meant to be a salary, it's just meant to be able to get you through the months.
It isn't a salary.
Right.
And the difference between a stipend and a salary, the stipend is really to afford you the opportunity to get to the environment, get to the workplace, have the basics. But, Rokas, let me say something. Sometimes when you look at the OJT salary in comparison to some employment salaries, if you look at the stipend compared to the salary, it
sometimes it looks like a little better, if I'll be honest with you.
It compares. It compares, yes.
Does the OJT program, do you guys in the Ministry of Labor, do you check through and keep a log of how the each individual is progressing? Or is that something that the businesses are required to do and then report back to you?
It's twofold, because one of the things we have done within the last, as I said, in 2020, we went into COVID. We took the opportunity between 2021 and 2022 to really do some introspection, to look at the program, to look at, that gap in terms of our achieving the mandate of the program. And we definitely saw some areas that we needed to improve, where the monitoring and evaluation of the training was.
And as I was gonna ask about that in terms of, do you guys deal with the businesses and make sure that they can train these people properly to be ready for the workforce?
Well, we have some instruments that we use
Okay.
in order for them to come on to the program. And once they meet some of the basic instruments, is a work in progress. We work with them to be able to do that. So in 2021, what we started to develop is those monitoring and evaluation tools that was necessary. So there's a training plan when you go in. There is the trainee log, because what we want the trainee to do is to trace their developmental areas in accordance with what the employer would have worked with the training department to develop as the plan for the 2 years.
Okay.
And then every 6 months, there's an evaluation. So we need a little technology, and I'm putting it out there, to really do the monitoring and evaluation. Because when you think about doing a paper-based evaluation for 6,000 trainees, it's onerous on the staff.
In 2023,
in
it don't make sense.
2023.
Yeah,
so,
it don't make sense.
So that in itself, but we have put mechanisms in place to be able to try to evaluate the quality of the training, because that is what we focus on currently. And even in the evaluation, when we did it in 2021, that caused us to go to cabinet and to bring in a psychologist onto the program.
Right.
So we have an in-house professional psychologist on the program that really helps again to provide a support system for the trainees while they're in the program, and to provide that continuum of care that we like to say that we try to give them while they're in the program for 24 months.
I have to ask, Ms. David, is one psychologist enough for 6,000?
No, it's not.
How do we get more?
It isn't, but you have to start somewhere. And we would have started with one. Then we collect the data, because again, for you to now justify additional staff, you need some data. So we have been gathering the data in terms of the type of issues that we see presenting in the trainees. And therefore, I think probably within the next year or so, I may be able to go to cabinet and say, this is the data, and we really need a bigger unit in terms of the psychology services that we provide, because we need to support young people. Because if we in a place where we are preparing them to enter the workplace, we want stable minds. We want people who are ready, work ready, not, mentally unready to enter the workplace. So I think bringing on the psychologist was a major
I think that's definitely
issue.
part of the course, and it needs to continue and grow. And I'm happy that you're taking the time to be able to gather the data to go back to cabinet and say, okay, we need more, and this is the proof that it works. So I applaud you for those efforts. I also want to applaud you and the entire team for being shortlisted for the President's Praise Awards. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I know it's tomorrow you said they're making the announcement. So we look forward to seeing tomorrow who the winner would be. But congratulations to you and the entire team on the work that you've been doing. Please keep it up, because I think it's definitely something that's necessary for our society. At the end of the day, we see a lot of people complaining that you leave school and you need to have X amount of experience working. But where do you get the experience working if you don't get a job? Okay, you now come out of school, they tell you stay in school, do all your work, and it becomes a whole, that's where the mental breakdown starts.
And that is it, because you tell yourself that you're doing the right thing.
Exactly.
You are going to school, you're working hard, you're getting your degrees, and then nothing. But what I want to say before we wrap up is that we have challenges as everybody else. But I think we focus so much on the challenge, and you may hear the trainees didn't get pay, and you look at those issues as major issues. And yes, they are, because the trainees need their stipend. But what I want people to start to look at and understand why it's important to come onto the program as providers and to support the efforts of the Ministry of Labour is that you need to look at the bigger picture and the impact that the program has not only on the individual, but on the labor market from that perspective, and employers to come on and provide that support that is needed, because if we don't have employers, we don't have opportunity. And therefore, I really implore for them to come on and to support the program.
Well, guys, I can definitely tell you that TTT is on board with the OJT program, and we've had some huge successes here. One of them, actually, OJT, who started here, and he's now one of our technical producers, working every single morning and doing fantastic work. We have a whole bunch of OJTs here as well now doing that training program. So thank you so much for all of the work that you and your team have been putting in, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Ladies and gentlemen, Joann David, the director of the OJT Division, joining us this morning to talk about some of the successes so far. We look forward to more. We look paying attention tomorrow night to see if they win the praise awards. So we stick around for that. Let's take a quick break and come back with more on the Now Morning Show.